All right, let's start you off here in the United States as the U.S. markets have now opened, and they have opened in red. The global market meltdown deepens as tariff turmoil spreads across asset classes and regions alike. Another Black Monday-style collapse, similar to 1987, is already playing out, with stocks from Sydney to Shanghai to London crashing. The reason is surge in U.S. recession bets from Trump-led global trade wars. The carnage in the financial market continuing unabated on Monday after marking the worst week since March of 2020. China's stock market crashed with a 10% drop, while Tokyo index was down 9%, entering a bear market. Reopening after a holiday, Taiwan stock index tumbled nearly 10%, the most on record, and putting it on track for a bear market. Indian stocks slumped to mark their worst signal day selloff since June, wiping out 20 lakh crore rupees in investor wealth. Europe's stocks 600 tumbled 6%, and Asia's index posted its steepest loss since 2008. U.S. stock futures to point to a more than 5% plunge on Wall Street at open. More importantly, Wall Street stocks have erased over $11 trillion in market value since President Trump's inauguration. Those losses until last week are equal to nearly 40% of U.S. GDP. Based on future markets, the losses will accelerate on Monday. In commodities, gold reserves last week falls and jumped about $80 in less than an hour in early trading. Gold was last trading at around $3,040 an ounce. Oil plummeted on Monday, extending steep losses from last week after OPEC Plus pushed to increase production and demand worries from recession bets. Brent crude crashed nearly 4% to about $63.25 a barrel after having fallen over 13% last week. Russia's flagship oil, euros, tumbled towards $50 amid global rout. Crypto's deep crash on Sunday and start to the week shows Black Monday is playing out already. Bitcoin slumped over 7% to below $78,000. That is over $30,000 from its peak on January 20th. The latest fall comes after crypto marked their worst first quarter in a decade. Second-ranked token, Ethereum, that is, plummeted to $1,538, an intraday low not since seen October of 2023. Crypto's $80 billion market cap fall since Trump's first day in office is expected to worsen. Still, Trump remained adamant by the massive sell-off and wealth losses as well.
I don't want anything to go down, but sometimes you have to take medicine to fix something. And we have such a horrible, we have been treated so badly by other countries because we had stupid leadership that allowed this to happen. They took our businesses, they took our money, they took our jobs. Inflation is going to be a big deal because if you look at me, I took in hundreds of billions of dollars. This is not new to me. I took in during my 4 years hundreds of billions of dollars from China.
Joining me now is Greg Swanson, who is an economist from London. Greg, welcome back to WION. Thank you so much for joining us. So Europe is still mulling retaliatory measures. Will they put up a united front, or will they be divided against President Trump's proposed tariffs?
Well, it's a great question. I think if they were wise, they would not do any retaliatory tariffs or make any, countermeasures. And I know that's a threat that was made last week, but they haven't done anything, which I think which is good news. The surplus countries always lose in a trade war. So there's absolutely no reason for the EU with a $300 billion trade surplus to get into a trade fight with the US. So if they're self-interested, they will dial it down a bit. And if anything, reach out to the president, to the White House, and negotiate lower tariffs and lower trade barriers that will benefit both countries.
And we're hearing that the European Union is prioritizing talks with the United States to get President Trump's tariffs removed, or at least get sort of a window to have negotiations with the president. How do you think that's going to play out? Will President Trump agree to something like that?
I think he will. And look, the EU is an important trading partner of the United States. It's probably more important for the EU than it is for the US, given the trade surplus. But they are big exporters, especially Germany. So I think if they are wise about this, if they make the right moves, they will negotiate. 50 countries reached out to the White House in the last few days. So it's not like these tariffs are going to stay static. They're not going to, they probably will not, this will not look the same in a few weeks, in terms of the actual numbers. So I would expect that the EU will cooperate. You're seeing that from the UK, from the United Kingdom, and, so far so good. I think there's trade agreements in the near term.
All right, very interesting. Well, we'll be watching very closely. Everyone has a lot of opinions about what's going on right now. It's always a pleasure speaking to you. Thank you so much,
Thanks.
Greg.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.